Hey guys and gals, I'm going to be showing you how to configure Counter-Strike for the maximum competitive advantage. The single best way to increase your FPS is to drop your resolution, so go to options and video settings and drop your resolution to whatever you feel is right. You can still hit apply and have it on full screen and it won't really make a difference. When you're on a 4:3 resolution, your horizontal field of view is just 74 degrees. If you're on 16:9, your field of view is 90 degrees. To improve FPS with launch options, ideally you want to use the native resolution of your monitor while maximizing your frame rate. To find the native resolution of your monitor, go to your control panel, go to Appearance and Personalization, and adjust screen resolution. You'll see here that whatever is your recommended resolution is what your native resolution should be. Make all your graphical adjustments with the knowledge that CSGO is a CPU limited game in general. There's no holy grail console or config command that will dramatically improve your FPS, but there is some slight tweaks we can make. First, go to Counter-Strike Properties, set launch options, and do -no vid. This disables the video when you start the game. Do /console so that it will start with console. -high so that the affinity is set to high, and -threads 4 to dedicate all your cores to Counter-Strike. The next step involves modifying CSGO's config file. It's a bit more complicated, but it allows us to make some really useful tweaks. Follow my steps. C, program files 86, Steam apps, common, Counter-Strike Global Offensive, CSGO, CFG. Once you find your config.cfg, edit it, open with Notepad, but for me I'm going to use Notepad++. Now edit these lines in the config file. For most of them you'll simply be switching out a 0 for a 1 or something similar. Find r_draw tracers, set this to 0. Find cl_force preload, set this to 1. Find cl_disable html motd, set this to 1. Find cl_auto wep switch, change this to 1. Find cl_disable freeze cam and set this to 1. Now save your changes. Next, scroll all the way down to the bottom. Hit enter on the last line and type rate space in quotes 128000. Hit save again. Next, find cl_cmd rate, change this to 128. Next, find cl_update rate and change this to 128. There's a few tweaks to your HUD you can experiment within the config file. First, find HUD_scaling. Change this to whatever you want. It's easier to do this and load up the game to figure out whatever you want. You can also change this value in-game, but if you're doing it in here, 0.75 is what I like to use. Next, find CL underscore radar underscore always, and then centered. A lot of players prefer the default one, but as an in-game lead, I like being able to see the entire map on the radar, so it's personal preference to change that to 1 or 0. Next, find CL underscore radar underscore scale, then change this to 0.4 or 0.3. I have it on 0.317500 because I can. So let's customize your crosshair. There's no best crosshair, but I prefer a small, classic static crosshair. A static crosshair does not expand during movement, as the crosshair's expansion does not accurately reflect current accuracy values. I recommend a static crosshair. To customize your crosshair, I will have a link in the description to the workshop and to take you to Crash's crosshair generator. This map allows you to fully customize your crosshair and also use professional players' crosshairs. So he has every single team from Virtus Pro to COG and everywhere in between. Every player on each team, their crosshair and what they use. You can use theirs and experiments, or you can generate your own. If you want greater control and accuracy in combat, follow these steps. Go to Options, Keyboard/Settings. Find your raw input and make sure that is on. Make your mouse acceleration off. What mouse acceleration does is when you move your mouse across the screen, what it does is it will move your mouse an additional length according to whatever this amount is. So if I move it across my mouse pad, I can move it all the way across the screen. But if I were to have this on, I could do it in half the mouse pad. So you want to make sure that that is off. Raw input takes the raw DPI from your mouse and times it by the sensitivity in game. My sensitivity is 2.3. So I take my DPI and multiply it by 2.3. Then that's my mouse. The next useful tip is to have buy binds, which when you push a key it'll buy things for you. For example, if I push my button, I bought all my grenades. The command for this is what I have right here. All these will be in the description, and just change this key to whatever you want. So M, IAD, whatever, or KP underscore enter for your enter key or something like that. The next one is by an op, so let's just bind this let's override the same key. So if I push N, if I push N, I bind op. If I do this command to N, now if I push N, now if I push N, I'll get an op and armor. By the way, to get money, type impulse 101, and the next one is to bind whatever to a molotov or an HE. And then you can add it with the molotov or HE or whatever. If you want the AK and then armor, depending on what side you're on, just use this command. So let's bind N again to buy AK, buy vest and helm, and so when I press N, I'll get a vest and a helm and an AK. I already had a vest and a helm, but it will still work. Then if I switch teams and push N, I'll get an M4, a defuser, and
Let's give it to them, boys.
and a full helmet. And then the same thing can be with your eco round. So Fiveseven or Tech 9 vest and helm. Basically why we have them on the same line is that you can't buy a Tech 9 on CT side, so it doesn't matter, and vice versa. So same thing with the AK and the M4 and the defuse. That's why you have it on the same line, because it doesn't matter. So now if I do bind that to M, now I'll have 5-7 in armor. If I change teams again and push N, I'll get an AK and some armor.
We will drive them from our lands. We must move.
Next command is binding a shift to plus speed, then R underscore clear decals colon. Now if I use my command, boom, you can see him